Hi, everyone. Welcome to our information session with Ducere Global Business School to the University of East London's Executive MBA program. We had a US and UK information session overnight, and this one's mainly targeted at the Australian Australian audience. However, I believe there's students joining from all around the world. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're joining from. I'm going to quickly take you through the agenda for today and a quick introduction to the team. I'm going to try and keep this in under 30 minutes because wherever you are, time is very valuable, especially not if you're joining in from Australia. It's in the middle of the working day. So the quicker we can get this done, the better it's for you guys, and we'll give you as much information as we can. I'll do a quick introduction to the panel. And then if we go to the next slide, I'm just going to do a quick intro to the team. I've got Nicole, who's one of our students who's just graduated. She will give you a quick intro into the journey that she has had, why she's joined us to do the MBA with us. I've also got Dr. Jackie, who's one of our academics, who's going to give you a quick journey on how the whole program works from an academic perspective. Dr. Jackie is also what we call a practical academic. All of our academics are academics. She also had the number 2 best-selling book or number 1 best-selling book. She will confirm that co-authored that was on Amazon over Christmas in leadership. So she's highly qualified, just like every other one of our academics from the faculty. The program itself is a collaboration between our universities and Ducere Education. A lot of our students want to know how the collaboration works. And in a nutshell, we partner with universities around the world. Ducere is a startup stemming from Melbourne, Australia, now based in over 5 continents. And we deliver the program in partnership with universities like the University of East London. And we very carefully choose our universities that we want to partner with to make sure that our visions are aligned. Ducere has a very clear vision to design and deliver the world's most industry-applied university degrees. And we need universities that can partner with us to deliver that vision. And University of East London is one of those universities that's been amazing to work with. It's one of the top 5% of the top universities in the world in terms of credibility for the program. They're one of the fastest growing universities in the UK. They were nominated as the number 1 university in the UK in 2023. Also in terms of credibility with the program and the recognition across the world, World Educational WES assesses the programs in terms of the competency and the working hours. And this program will give you 180 ECTS points, which is a lot higher than the average ECTS points for a university MBA program. So, University of East London is one of those public UK universities that to get the prestige of being able to get a degree from a public university at the cost is an absolute honor for us to be able to offer that to our students. The program itself is designed with 5 core subjects and 1 industry project. So you go through the subjects that are very relevant to what you do every day at work. It's designed for an executive level individual. We go from everything from business strategy all the way to finance, marketing and communications, digital transformation, and leadership in practice. And then you get to apply that into an industry project to bring it all together. Everything is delivered 100% online. You get to tailor everything you do back to your work environment. And that's one of the main benefits of doing the Ducere program. There are no exams. Everything is 100% project-based. And what that means is what you learn can be applied to what you're doing, whether you're looking at starting a new business or whether you want to apply back to what you're doing day to day at work. You get the opportunity to apply those learnings as part of the project that you have to deliver. So I think in a nutshell, I've gone through everything that's relevant to the program and the university. I'm just going to quickly bring in our two esteemed guests and have a quick panel discussion, and also ask them any questions you have. Please post here, and so we can get the answers for you. Nicole, I'd love to hear from you first to get an understanding of why you wanted to do an MBA and why you chose University of East London and Ducere.
Thanks for having me, Dawn. I really wanted to go my MBA for a couple of reasons. I think first and foremost, it was that real work that I could apply to the work that I was doing, but also I wanted to use it to further my career, and really be able to either move up within my own company or to look at different opportunities. As I went through the program, it was one of the things where I found that I had a love for a lot of the work that we are doing. And that it was great. I loved it. I loved Ducere. I loved the University of East London, and I loved the experience. I'm not going to be sad to say that I'm not sad that we graduated in June. So I've given up reading for at least a month, Dr. Jackie. But I will get back to it afterwards. But it really for me was about, I turned 50. It was a life moment, and I said I'm going to go back to school and get this degree, one, so that I have it, two, that I can prove to my kids that you can never stop learning and that I could finish my MBA, and three, really so that I could continue to grow my career.
Amazing. Nicole, I'm going to ask this from Jackie from an academic perspective, but I'm going to ask you as well. In terms of the amount of work that you have to put in, and this is a question that we get asked all the time, the amount of hours that needs to be dedicated for this program per week, what would you say is an average of through the program that you had to invest?
I found, depending on the subject, that whether I had the real work experience that was tied to it, or I was something I wasn't as familiar with, it did take more time. But the academics are really good about preparing you for the amount of work and being able to schedule your time. I would say on average, I spent, 4 to 6 hours a week between reading and writing and really trying to stay on top of it. But I also would take the time, if I had a 30-minute break, our books, all of our materials are online. So it makes it really easy to pick up your phone, pick up your iPad on your laptop when you have downtime to really dive in and get the work done.
Awesome. Can I ask if there's any advice you could give the students, anyone who's looking at joining, what would that be?
Don't wait until the last minutes. Like, really, my advice is, one, rely on your academics because they're amazing and they're responsive and they get back to you, but also do the work in real time. When you have, each subject, there's a number of modules, and within each module, there's chapter 1, 1.1, 1.2. But if you really break it down and stay on top of it, I think the other thing that I would say wholeheartedly is read your briefs before you start your reading. So you're kind of in that mindset of what you're looking for and the information that you're gathering. And two, leave at least a week for that writing and editing of your paper. One of the easiest places to get good marks and help your grade is really by having truly edited your paper, and it, proper grammar and all of those things, and citing your references. It's an easy place to get easy points if you take the time and have the time to do it in the end and aren't rushing.
Right. Thanks, Nicole. Can I ask if anyone's looking at, most of the people that are joining us today would be people who are either on the fence or they've been searching and they're joining us to get the answers that they may have questions on. What would you say? How long did it take for you to decide, and what made you decide, University of East London and Ducere and this program?
I looked into a number of programs. I think the reason I chose Ducere was probably three main reasons. One, I wanted that international experience. I wanted to work with a cohort from around the world to gain that different perspectives from different worlds. I loved our industry project. It was amazing, but I didn't know in the beginning that our industry project was going to be amazing. The other reason I chose Ducere was honestly the responsiveness. Even from the moment that I started looking into my MBAs, it was always personal. People got back to me. There was humans on the other end of the phone or computer. And we've built, I mean, there are people like Tara and Ricky and others that work for Ducere that I've built a relationship with. And then the academics, if you look at the portfolio of academics that are associated with Ducere and being able to do it online at your own pace, it really was a no-brainer for me. Ducere is amazing.
Thanks, Nicole. Amazing. Thanks for that. We appreciate that feedback too. Jackie, I'm going to jump to you now because Nicole just touched on the industry projects. I'd love for you to tell the audience a little bit about the academic experience and then how the subjects are designed and delivered, and then about the industry project, because that's one of the main reasons a lot of people join us.
Okay. I'll take you a bit through the process that then culminates into the industry project. So with University of East London Masters, it's a bit of a mixture of your rigor and your academic classroom and practical application. So you've got that combination. And that makes you more industry ready, which a lot of students actually like that approach. We use examples of case studies from the global leaders, and that then supports the core theories that you then reflect on and how your learning could benefit both you in your learning and your career. So you get that double back all the time. We've got truly global cohorts. So you learn from both similar and extremely different cultural differences. And that gives you this whole global perspective, which Nicole touched on. And you consider different concepts and applications. So you really set up your networks and tap into those networks, because what you find is post your masters, that is where your networks tend to gravitate to. When you're looking at the modules themselves, the academics offer a weekly drop-in session, and that covers your module content. So if you want to discuss any aspect of the module, and then the assignments. And it's an open format. We also have webinars as well, but it's an open format that the students actually they bring their organizational personal experiences. Any challenges, we can discuss different aspects. And that gives you the option to bounce out around ideas between those in attendance to then apply that learning, try it, bring it back, bounce it around again. So over that period of time for the module, you're actually getting the opportunity to apply pretty much in a safe environment. What you find is there's 2 assignments, a reflective and an analysis. And additionally, I use discussion strands to really explore different topics and try and bring that more currency piece. What you find is there's quite a bit of reading. So as Nicole said, keep on top of that, but keep it relevant as you go through the modules. Now, at the end of your 5 modules, we have what's called a capstone industry project, and that's with a real organisation. So you develop your project management skills, your consulting skills, and you learn to work as a team and deliver a live consultation. Now, the projects draw on all your modules and then develop those skills further. So they're actually building on. So you've learned and you're actually now building. And that embeds that learning to really help make you more industry ready or ready for your next career step. And we found that the clients actually take the reports and the artifacts that you deliver and apply them in the real world. So you're actually seeing the results of the work you have done on the industry projects. Did you want an example of one, a recent one, or later on?
That would be great, Jackie. I think we were talking about a really good one.
Having that one earlier, actually. The last group, this group are actually going to graduate in the September group. So they're part of Nicole's cohort across. And it was, I actually had the client, which was US based, and she caters for the foster care youth that when they what's called age out. So when they turn 18 and have to move out of their foster carers residence. So they're on their own. All of a sudden they're homeless. They've got a whole myriad of things going on, trying to educate, trying to work. So it's quite daunting not having that full backup of the family. So what she's rebranded, called it Beyond Our Kin. And what I set up as 2 separate teams. And what the 2 teams did was they set up a new branding for her and then split into 2 teams to finish off the industry projects. And one covered the pitch decks and the website content, and the other covered the business plan. So she got a very usable amount of content ready to go forward. Now, after, one of the actually students is setting up the website for Ava Pro Bono because he's so wedded to what this is coming out and where it's heading. So I sourced a URL and he's actually building the final content for launch. So that gives you a bit of an idea what can come out of the end result. But you also see that the client takes the content that you deliver and puts it into practice. And that's one of the real benefits coming out of the industry project. Back to you, Don.
Amazing. Thanks, Jackie. There's a couple of questions. I'm going to quickly answer them and then come back to you, Nicole, for another question. Michael mentioned that it's really difficult to advance in his career field without a degree. And that's one of the major points with our programs. You can actually get into our programs in the US. There is a requirement of an undergraduate degree for you to come into a postgraduate program. Whereas most of the European programs, you can actually enter into any of our programs without a bachelor's, utilizing your work experience as an entry criteria. So you do have, as long as you've got for this program, as long as you've got 5 years worth of management experience, you can apply and get in without a degree. So that's a huge benefit of this program. And it's mainly because it's designed to accentuate that years of wealth of experience that you have. And then you can convert it into real world practice. And that's what we assess you on. There are no exams. The assessment methodology is based on what you input. Jackie, did you have anything to add to that?
I've got a number of students that don't have undergraduate degrees, and this is their first foray into academia. So they need to learn the difference between a corporate writing and academic writing. So that is the transitional piece. But they take that learning, they bring their learning to the table, and then they take their learning back to the organisation. So you get that dual benefit. And some of the students, they're getting extremely good marks because they bring that practicality into their reflection and into their analysis. And then having a look at, okay, what am I learning from the academic aspect and applying it to the real world? So they're getting that dual benefit coming from it. So that actually works very well, as well as those that have already got the.
And for most people, the timing is great. Like, you're doing a master's level postgraduate, and to apply what you've learned rather than doing a bachelor's program, it makes a lot more sense. We have a question from Rosalind, who's asked, how many MBA students are from the US? I'm actually currently doing the program myself. In my cohort, there's about 70 students. I would say about half of them are from the US, and it's made up of students from around the world. So, Nicole, I'd love to hear from you and Jackie to see if my experience is resonated. That's one of the biggest benefits of this program. It's a true global cohort. You get some amazing networking opportunities. I've met people that I otherwise would have never had the opportunity. If I was doing a local program, the chance of me being able to make those connections from people from around the world would be very limited. And even if you're studying with students from the US, it's all across the US, from all industries, everything from natural resources, mining, technology, to medical field. There's some amazing individuals that join us for these programs. Nicole?
I would say my experience is the same as yours, Dawn. I mean, we have, and the coolest thing is we've remained friends. So I would say we have people from England, we had people from Australia, we had people from all over Europe and America. I mean, there's probably about 15 of us, 20 of us that stay actively in touch. So we took over the Ducere WhatsApp chat, and we now call ourselves Ducere 2.0. But we're all really good friends now, and we're also extremely supportive of each other's careers. There's a couple people in all over from our cohort that are looking for roles. They've been connecting with each other. I mean, I've seen people from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast of the US where I am. Jade is one of my dearest. So Jade was Dawn who introduced us, and she's not here in the US, but you would never know it.
That's right. Yeah, I didn't even realize that she was in Australia. And I said, oh, can we have a coffee? I thought she was based in the US. So she did live in the US for most of her program, but she's now relocated back to Australia. So Yeah, it's amazing. Jackie, what's your experience when it comes to the cohort and the globalization of it?
Very global, a real cross section of people from right across the globe. And what I do is on each module, we set up initial based on the drop-in sessions, but I'll change them for different time zones. So if you find the majority of the cohort is, say, in the US, we look at, okay, where do we centrally work it, or do we do 2 drop-in sessions a week? Does that work better? I've got areas where I think one group it's about 60% of the class were all in from Mauritius, which was really unusual, where I've got others coming from UK. So they're all over the world, but that opportunity to network and set up your networks is brilliant. And as Nicole said, they've taken over the WhatsApp group. Now it's called, what was it, 2.0? So setting those group, and that what you find is by having those networks that continue through your career, you find you tap into them all the time. So it's certainly well worth it. So that global perspective comes in.
Yeah, great. And I think those are the things that you take for granted when you do some of these MBA programs. A lot of people have said, the perception of an MBA program is about a 35-hour, 40-hour investment per week. When you're doing a full-time job, then having to dedicate that much time into an education program is quite tough to do. Whereas the way this program is designed is to fit in with your work-life balance. And that's everything from small things like what Jackie mentioned. We don't assess you on attendance. So you can join the lectures live, or you can choose to download it and watch it later on. So not being penalized for attendance is one of the biggest things. But a lot of the programs that advertise saying 100% online is still expecting and gives you a mark for attendance. So, this gives you total autonomy on what you need to do, and manage that work-life balance a lot better. For me, my experience is it's about 10 hours. If you have about good 10 hours spare, especially for the University of East London program, it's more than enough to get through this program. As long as you're consistent and you can dedicate those 10 hours a week, you're going to be ahead. Nicole, I'd love for you to give some input as a student on that work-life balance aspect.
It actually is funny, Dawn, when you mentioned 10 hours, I'm like, gosh, I probably did spend more time studying than I realized. But it's over and I have my degree. But I really found that I took advantage of downtime. So even within our cohort, we had actually downloaded a website that you can read your online books to. So even when I was driving, I would sometimes be listening to my online journals and books that were signed by the academics. But what I found is that I would get up on Saturday mornings, get up a little extra early. I would spend, a few hours in the office reading with a do not disturb sign to my family. But then I could still do weekend activities. I just had to be very prescriptive with scheduling my time so that I didn't get behind to meet the rigors of those papers. And those papers, I mean, at one point during my studies, and I think it might have been when I had Dr. Jackie, I can't remember, it might have been, oh no, it was when I had Dr. Q. I actually went to Italy for 2 weeks for my 50th birthday. So I brought my laptop, I was on vacation, but I ended up not doing a lot of work because I knew that going into it, I was going to have to get ahead of my studies. And because you're on your own, you can, and you could take that time to then get those papers submitted when you need to. So I think it's really wonderful for work-life balance.
Now, amazing. And that's facilitated by the design of the program itself. It's mobile first. It's really easy for you to consume the learning content. And there's one huge aspect of the program that I haven't mentioned, which is the insights from our global leaders. So you're actually learning from over 250 global leaders. Their insight is embedded within the program. So when you're learning diversity and inclusion or investment or a startup mentality, we got everyone from the director of CIA to the founder of Atari to Julia Gillard. We got 5 prime ministers from Australia. We got leaders from all walks of life. Goldie Hawn, David Copperfield, people that you wouldn't even relate to a business program, and you find these amazing things these people have done, and yeah, so they're embedded very smartly within the program that comes up. So you're learning from real people with real experience. One of the other things that I want to quickly touch on, or there's some of the quick examples. Thanks, Maria, for sharing that. So you can see some of these global leaders. So that it's invaluable to be able to actually get the advice from these leaders. One of the other big things is our projects. They're not, there's some of the projects we have done in the past have been with NASA, KPMG, Disney. If you're based in Australia, Qantas, the Department of Defense in Australia, and on the other end, small startups like Jackie's worked with a small company that's building a karate program, and not-for-profits that rely on these projects. You go in as a consultant to these projects and deliver real solutions to real problems. On the other hand, the flip side of the projects is your individual projects, which are every subject is a mini project, which you can apply directly back to your work environment. And that's what I was mentioning at the start. I'd love to hear from you, Nicole, how that has helped you with those subject-based projects and how you've been able to apply it back.
Yeah, I mean, I would say one of the greatest gifts was that, I could use what I was doing in my job as the academic resource. So in each of your papers, you're choosing a subject, you're writing about what you're learning, and you get to apply it to something. And being able to do that in my real work, the digital transformation course, I actually took that work and gave it back to our organization that I did. And some of that has been implemented, which I think has been really good, was really good for me in my career personally. But it also, because it was real life and something I was dealing with on a daily basis, it made it relatable in my own brain to bring it all together. In Dr. Jackie's leadership course, I was actually struggling with a leader in our organization, and I learned so much about through theory and through conversation about what were the triggers that were driving the conversation, the things that I could help learn. And I wrote about that, and I actually did well on it. Thanks, Dr. Jackie. But I was able to take it to my real life and say, what can I do to be a better leader, to amplify what I want from this other person and where I'm struggling. So I will also share, which not to be shared off of this call, but I also accepted today a new senior vice president role. So it's
Oh, wow.
for to change organizations, which is what I wanted to do, and move up into a role that I really wanted.
That's great. That's what we love to hear. Like we want to hear those success stories. And Michael asked a really good question. He asked, by the way, if you have any questions, please drop it on the chat, and we'll answer them as much as we can. We are running a little bit over. Apologies for the technical difficulties we had at the start, so we might be running over about 10 minutes. Michael asked, do you touch on giving back to the community as part of the course? So one of our biggest initiatives is that we are a social enterprise, and we're part of a not-for-profit, the Ducere Foundation in Africa, that delivers education programs all across the African continent. I believe we're up to 32 countries now, and we employ around 300 teachers that teach kids to read and write, and we get them to publish their own stories, and then we invest back into hiring more teachers to deliver education programs. And on top of that, we work with a lot of not-for-profits. Jackie's very much involved in some of those in Australia. So our project partners very much rely on those industry projects that we deliver as a consultancy basis. Jackie, you can probably touch on one and give us a quick example on how we sort of bring this back. And as a student, you have the opportunity to participate in these projects and give back to the community. Hopefully that answers your question, Michael. But Jackie, if you could quickly do a mention of a project that we do within a not-for-profit that we...
We've not-for-profit, we've done several for the Writing Association for South Australia, for just one example. I've got global ones as well. They went from a bulk payment set up to the NDIS. So all of a sudden their whole structure changed. So they needed understanding of business planning, how to make sure they better engage with the NDIS and with the riders to make sure they get the equipment they need for the disabled riders, and also ensure that they get the right funding to have the right people. A lot of their horses were the owners of the horses and use of was volunteers. So how do they continue engaging with those and bring them on board? So that's just one example that worked really well, where the community benefited and the students benefited as well as the organisation. So they're going from strength to strength. They're also linking into the global setup. I can give you a myriad of different non-for-profits and how they work, but with the students going through and what they offer, they in effect consult, which is free charge for the non-for-profit. So they're getting work that would not normally get, and the students get to understand what the community needs and how they can best assist. And quite often there'll be a student or two that do pro bono work afterwards with the organisation after they've graduated. It's not a requirement, but they're so embedded with what's going on, so they become so engaged.
Thanks, Jackie. And Michael made a comment, said, I think it's more important to give back money than to make it. Yeah, that's the principle of philanthropy, right? And we are totally in agreement, and that's what we do. We believe that education is one way to solve some of the biggest problems. So we're trying our best. So if you've got any other questions, please drop in. Our next intake is coming up pretty soon. So if you are looking at joining, please reach back out to your enrollment officers. Regardless of where you are in the world, you would have an enrollment officer based in your own region. We'd love to help out and answer any other questions you may have. And also, if you want to find out if you're eligible for a scholarship, we have a multitude of scholarships, everything from financial hardship to women in leadership. We'd love to help and get you into one of those scholarships. That makes these programs really accessible and affordable. Our next intake, if you're in the UK and you're applying for a student loan in the UK, you have to have that in by the 9th of August. And if you're self-funding or you're funding the program through a loan, most of the US students and the Australian students would be your deadline for that would be the 23rd of August. So get in. It's a good time to get started. I started mine in this time of the year because it sort of gets you into the Christmas period, sort of that break period, like slowly gets you into, by the time you're fully up and running, you're ready to go. It's a good time of the year too. It's not at the beginning of the year or in the middle of the year. I think this is the best intake to come and join us. So, I don't say that for every intake, but this is, I truly believe, because that's when I started. Nicole, you would have started the one before. So I'd love to hear your thoughts for what you thought about the timing.
I will say I really loved, just like you said, Dawn, having the Christmas break in there, or whatever holiday winter holidays, whatever you celebrate. It was really helpful because it also, at least in the US, I can't speak for other countries, but it felt like business was a little bit slower for me. So it gave me that time to invest. But the timing was great. I mean, I cannot say enough good things about the program. And the wealth of information that I have gained and garnered over the last year of my life. I would do it all over again. I'm still going to take that 1 month reading break, but I would do it all over again 100%. And many of my cohort, on our group chat, we talk about what we're going to go learn next together. And so it's really, Ducere made it really easy and wonderful.
Nicole, I think we're launching a whole bunch of new graduate certificate programs. So just reach out and have a chat. We might be able to help you and the cohort. So there's a multitude of options there in what you can study. And also, again, this program, I just want to do a quick recap. If you have any other information, I think Robin asked about the more info on the scholarships. Robin, I would advice, if you could reach out to your enrollment advisor, they'll be able to actually assess you on your personal circumstances and give you the best advice on what is suitable for you. Do it soon as you can. They should be able to, they'll get back to you straight away. If you haven't been able to get through to anyone, please reach out to me. I'll be able to help you. I'll be more than happy to help out. In terms of the program, again, if you have any doubts about the program or anything like that, or the credibility of the program, just reach out to your, again, enrollment advisor. Hopefully we've given you enough information to wrap up on the program, the student journey, and the academic journey. Jackie, do you have anything to add? I saw your hand go up.
So surprisingly, you're learning to such a level that I've got around 7 students that have gone on to start their doctorates.
Oh, wow.
That gives you an indication that the quality of the end graduation, that the achievement of their masters is given the appropriate level if they do want to go on further. And they're looking, but most of them are looking at a Doctor of Business Administration, so it's the DBA rather than the PhD, although one's doing a PhD, which is the same as a doctorate they're moving on to. So that gives you a bit of an indication of what people are actually learning out of their masters. So it's practical, can be moved on if they choose to.
That's amazing. There's so many different pathways, and it's designed for that purpose. It's designed to accentuate and highlight the work experience you've got, and then be able to apply it into an academic framework. So thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks, Nicole. I know you had an emergency today, and you're a trooper. I really appreciate you joining us. And Jackie, again, thanks for joining us, and everything you do is much appreciated. I'm one of your students, as much as we work in the same faculty. So appreciate your time. And yeah, if anyone's got any further questions, please reach out to your enrollment advisor, and we are here to help. Thank you.
Thanks, Dawn. It was great to see you, Dr. Jackie.
Great to see you again as well. Take care. And congratulations on graduating.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Bye, you guys.
I'll be joining soon.
Yes.